You hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the Gritty Mamas podcast. I will say,
Julie Jeppson production, I beat you.
You did it for me. It is another Saturday night. Tonight it's 9:15 p.m. The video is not great because my computer is outdated. Carly looks nice and fresh and clean and clear. I am a little blurry, and so my apologies if you're watching.
I
on
also have
YouTube.
lights on my face. You do not have
Yes.
lights.
I don't have lights. I should have gotten them, but it's probably better because in my anxiety, I pick at my face, and so you'll see all the blemishes. I pick at my lip. And that's something that we can get to when we talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, because do you have an anxious habit?
Yeah.
What is it?
I'll pick at my eyelashes.
Oh, really? So you have a little bit of trichotillomania too.
It's an ADHD thing too.
Yeah. So I pick the crap out of my lips. And I pick at my hair also. I've never
like the split ends.
Yeah, but not even that, like picking at my scalp actually.
I have a kid that has bled because she picked at her head so much. Yeah.
Is that from anxiety or just habit?
It's an anxiety ADHD thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do that, and then I've never been a nail biter, so that's good. I've got that going for me. But
My same kid does that.
Really? Bites the nails, yeah. And then, I mean, I'll pick at anything I can, and they always say keep your fingers busy. Like Dr. Cope always says, busy hands are happy hands. So that's when they want like the fidgets. But I don't do the fidgets. They don't do it for me.
Maybe you need a better fidget.
I know. I guess
anybody listening, if you have a really good fidget, let us know.
Yeah, I'm talking like the spinners. They don't do it for me.
No spinner.
And the balls that you like, the 3-ball, it doesn't do it. Like,
no.
Or the ring that you can. I've tried them all. You have a ring on and you can spin it on your finger.
Have you seen the two? They're like cylinders that are attached and they spin separately, and you can like spin them one-handed. They're like long, skinny cylinders. Yeah,
no,
my kids love those.
Gosh, what I have done. Have you ever heard of the Berenstain Bears?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's our generation long ago of the bear family. And I've never forgotten one of the books that I read to stop the nail biting, which I don't do, but they would put tape around their fingers. The bears to stop themselves from biting their fingernails. And I've done that before, or I put lipstick on to stop
myself. They have nail polish now.
What?
They have nail polish that you put on, and it tastes bad.
Really?
It's supposed to help you not bite your nails.
Oh, that makes sense. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I guess that makes me wonder about binkies, and if people have ever dipped it in vinegar or something to put in their baby's mouth.
You know what they do is they put like a teeny little hole in it, and then the hole and they make it bigger and bigger, and the kids stop liking it. Theoretically.
Why? Does this change the suction?
You can't suck on it anymore. Like there's air that comes through it, so it doesn't have that suction.
Were your kids binky suckers?
2 were and 2 were not.
All of mine loved those green binkies from the hospital. But they all, what's the word? Weaned themselves at 6 months. So that was fabulous.
So lucky.
I know. I never had to deal with binky obsessed children.
Oh no, mine either loved them or hated them, and they were like 3.
Both are hard. Yeah. Both are hard because when they love them, you can't live without it. And then when they don't, you wish that they had something that would soothe them as infants. You know? Oh my gosh.
What is the weirdest place you found a binky? I found one in my in-laws' cabin's couch once, like in the crack. I don't even know what I was looking for, but I pulled one out and I was like, I needed this like a year ago.
Yeah. You're like, that would have been helpful because it probably fell out of someone's pocket and went through the cracks.
Or I was holding the baby on the couch and then it dropped or whatever. It wasn't like.
Wait, was it your binky?
My kids.
It was one of your kids' binkies, though? It wasn't just some random person's binky?
Yeah, but no, it was one of mine. Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
My husband's the youngest by so far that they were always our babies, right? His sisters were done having babies. And now it's his nieces and nephews. So like, I actually had a baby at the same time as one of my nieces.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. But they live far away. So anyway, it's always.
Oh my gosh. Well, so back to my habits. Part of the things we want to talk about tonight is kind of a little bit about trial. I have always been wanting to talk about trial because I held off for so long because we were waiting for the ruling. And then after the ruling was made, then they changed the ruling, and then we appealed. And so I was like, I didn't feel like I could ever talk about it because you're worried you're going to jinx yourself, or you're worried. In fact, just yesterday, I posted, a picture of me in mediation, and someone's like, you can't post that. And part of me was like, I do not give a flying rip if I post a picture of me in mediation. And
then it was you on a computer screen.
I know. And then the other part of me was like, I'll just take it down in case the mediator fires back at me. What's going to happen? I'm going to get an email that they're mad at me. Like, there's just so many things that have happened with the legal stuff and law, with the police, with my neighbor, and with the petitioner and counsel. And like I've said before, nothing matters. Come and handcuff me. Do it. I don't care.
I mean, it really starts to feel that way. It really starts to feel like everybody's just full of hot air.
Yeah.
And threats.
I don't care. So she's like, that's supposed to be private. And I wanted to say, I don't care. But just for the sake of this mediator, because he was kind and
yeah, I liked him. I thought he was actually fairly neutral.
Was probably the best mediator I've had, and I've had a lot. But the reason I'm saying that was talking about I didn't want to post anything because my attorneys were saying just kind of wait, hold off until things are signed, until things have been decided for sure. But it's been a year now, over a year since trial. And here we are still with nothing finalized. So, but I'm like, screw it. I'm going to talk about it because it doesn't matter. But before I go there, I was, showing some footage of me prepping for trial. And you can see in the video on a time lapse where I'm just picking the crap out of my lip.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like my poor lip. I'm just like watching yourself do it. I was like, oh my gosh, like I have got to get that under control. So again, I go months without touching them, and then an anxious time will come in my life, more anxious than others, and I'm biting the crap out of them and picking at them.
It's just a coping mechanism. That's all it is.
I know. So I've been doing that again just because it's been kind of a stressful 2 weeks, because if you were listening last week, the upcoming mediation was on the horizon. And so that has come and gone. So we've had mediation, and Xander is in Tulsa, Oklahoma right now. He's my 15-year-old competing, for nationals. He did not make the world's team, which he's so sad about, but he's had a hamstring injury, but he did make the junior elite national team. So that's been, nerve-wracking. And then we've got a Dana's back appointment coming up where she is getting her 4th MRI to see if that pars defect, which is basically a fracture on both.
And she's still in pain, yeah?
She still hurts, yeah. But I'm kind of hoping it's residual pain. I'm hoping that it's referred pain and not necessarily acute pain. It can't be acute. I mean, this has been a year. So, but when she got her CT scan, when she had her kidney stone, did we talk about that last time, or had she not had it?
No, you had, because you talked about her barfing, I think.
Of course I did. So she had the CT scan, and I remember the surgeon or the spine doctor saying, I'm so tired. Oh my gosh. The spine doctor said, we could see more with the CT scan, but we don't want to expose kids to radiation, so the MRI is good enough. But we did do the CT scan to see if there was a kidney stone lodged, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to grab that CT scan and send it over to the spine doctor. So I was able to get the images for that, and I was such an idiot, like looking at them trying to diagnose myself where the cracks were. I'm like, oh, maybe that's it right there. Maybe it's that. I'm like, I was using ChatGPT to help me, but I uploaded the images to Chat, and it was telling me that the pars defect is still there and still visible, which I was like, no.
Did you try another one like Grok? Did you use a different one?
Okay. Is that, yeah, I need to use more than
there's
just
different ones. That's not the one James likes. It'll come to me. It's not that one. There's another one that everybody at Adobe uses. I'll come up with
really?
Yeah.
Well, so it told me that it's still visible. What is it?
Claude.
Mm-hmm. Like
Claude is a really good engine, they say.
Claude, like the
I
name
think so.
Claude.
I think
Interesting.
so.
But it said that even though the fracture is still visible, there are lots of athletes that like go on living their lives even though it has never formed a union again. Like there's a crack in the spine and sometimes it forms back together. Other times that stays there and fills in with scar tissue. So maybe she'll just live with a pars defect and then you end up, it doesn't hurt anymore and you just live with it. So my hope is that he says she can start back up slowly. But I don't know. So that's been nerve-wracking. Gosh, what else? Oh, and then I've been learning a new course that I hopefully will help me not to have to watch so many dogs. Not that I don't love them because I do, and they're sweet, and we've learned all about dogs'
They're
breeds.
just dirty.
They're dirty and they're barfing
Loud.
here and there and they're crapping all over outside. And there's several that will mark, all over the house. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm over it. And that's why I was like posting on Instagram. I'm like, I swear I am meant for more than this. But I haven't known what to do. And so I started Gritty Mamas, and I was making like a membership subscription with women who wanted to be part of this community. And then that got stressful because I was like relying on that for my livelihood. And I was like, I don't like relying on women. And some of them aren't struggling like in family courts. It's really for all women, but it just didn't feel good or right having to rely on a membership for $8 a month or even $12 a month or $5 a month. I'd have to get how many subscriptions, and I was like, oh my gosh, and this is stressing me out because I just didn't like that. I wanted it to be a
hard because you know very well intimately what it's like to be struggling for every dollar that you have.
Yeah.
And the community that you're trying to help is a community that needs free resources, not things that require money. And so, it's like you don't want to put your livelihood in their hands. It's not fair. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to them. And you don't accomplish what you wanted to accomplish, which is helping them. You want to be, I've learned, I think about a lot. People ask me all the time, weird stuff, like everything from, you should write a book, you should do your own podcast, you should do this, that, or the other, right? Like random things. And like I do design work or I'll do whatever, art stuff, calligraphy. And everybody's like, you should start a business. I'm like, listen, I find joy in doing this because it's helpful to other people, because they appreciate it. The value is in the smile that they gave me or in the big hug and the thank you and being part of their day, their like wedding day or whatever. But the second they start paying me, it is so freaking stressful. I'm like texting, do you like this better or this better? Do you want this or do you want this? I don't want to mess it up. Or
you want to make sure they're getting their money's worth.
Yes, exactly. And you want to make sure that they're not like telling people that it was a bad experience or whatever. But if I just do it because I want to do it, it's fun. I enjoy it. It's an outlet.
And there's no skin off your back, if they don't like it, you're like, yeah.
And if it gets to be, if it's too much, I've done a lot of it and I'm kind of bored of whatever it is, I don't have to do it anymore, right? I'm not making money. I'm not trying to, it's just like, well, I did a lot of that. Now I'm going to do something different and I'm going to help in a different way or whatever, right? Like, and I've found myself wanting to remain grateful that I have a husband that can provide, like at some point, money's just money.
Yeah.
Could we be wealthier if I worked? Yes. Could we go on vacations? Yes. Could we do things? Yes. But like, I enjoy not being stressed at a job. I enjoy not having to do customer service and all of the things. Like I will be poor or poorer and happy doing things for people for free than charging and being stressed, So it's like you enjoy helping these women, but it stresses you out trying to do it for money, for, a reward.
Right. And so that's where I'm like, oh my gosh, just having this like come to Jesus moment with myself. Like, what do I do? I'm praying like crazy. What do I do? Because I don't mean to say this and sound like poor me, woe is me. I don't have skills. I don't have a skill set. Oh, you're so talented. You could do, yeah, sure. I don't have a skill set that would pay me.
I do. I will argue with you till the end of time on this because I disagree. I just think that you are so like you're on YouTube, like you put stuff on YouTube, but you don't actually spend a lot of time consuming content on YouTube. And I consume a lot of YouTube. And I think that if you did a few things that the other YouTube channels do, I actually think you can make
Well,
a lot
yeah,
of money.
I could, but I have to learn what they're doing, right?
Yeah,
I
but
have
you
to
already are doing most of it. It's just like a few tweaks. It's like learning the program, or it's learning how to do super chats, or learning to do it live, or you know what I mean? It's like,
Well, and so that's another thing. And Carly has been always saying this to me all along, like, look, you've got to like pick one of the things that is serving you the most financially and put everything on pause or on hold. And I'm like, well, that would be the dogs. They are literally paying the bills and have been for a year. And I mean, on one hand, it's been great because half the time they just like lay around and sleep, and I've been having my kids take them for walks. Um, on the other hand, and it's easy passive money. All I have to do is feed them and walk them and pet
it's
them.
not really passive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cleaning and a
Yeah.
lot of, I mean, just in us trying to record this, it's
Oh
like,
yeah. Tonight, like I had a dog leaving at 7 and or coming at 7 and two leaving at 8:30. So we were trying for like 6 o'clock, and then Carly has visitors and I have dogs coming and I have to put kids to bed, and I was like, now it's 9:30. And so yes, it's like and this is another thing I want to talk about. So Xander's in Tulsa, crying that he didn't make Worlds, but like ecstatic that he makes the Nationals, and I am nowhere to be found. Because why? A lot of reasons. It's not just no, I don't have the money. If I flew to Oklahoma with him, sure, I could make it happen. I could swing it. But then I'm paying for a hotel room, and I'm so gracious to Bubba and Jordan Page, who have let him stay with them when they take their kids,
Yeah, I know you're super grateful.
Yeah. And so they've let him stay with them in their hotel room. But even if I did go and pay a flight and a hotel room, it's not even just that. I'd have to pay for a nanny to stay home with 7 other kids.
Yep.
And 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 then I have dogs that have been scheduled for several weeks, and so they're here, and
You're literally working.
Yeah, that's how I'm able to pay for the flight.
Yep.
And then I'm like, I'm not there for like any of their moments because I can't pay for it, and it just made me feel bad that maybe he'll never get this again. I remember I haven't traveled once with Adana, on her competitions, her gymnastics competitions, not one time. Because I always had a sweet friend that would take her for me, because I still had little kids when she was competing, before she had an injury, before she had her mental block. And then once she was somewhat like taking her break and was done, because she was kind of kicked off the team because she wasn't doing any skills and she was wasting the coach's time and wasting money. And I was just like, let's just take a break. She hasn't been back since. And I was like, I never got the chance to go to one single out-of-state meet with her. And the one out-of-state meet that I could have gone on, that I wanted to go on, I decided to let her have like a daddy-daughter trip. And I booked it for them so the petitioner could go with her and bond and form some fun, healthy father-daughter relationships. I got their flights. I got their room. I sent him to go to her competition. I don't even know if he attended the actual competition, because one of the I don't know.
Were you separated?
Huh?
Were you separated?
No, this was like 6 years ago.
Okay.
When she was competing.
You don't know if he actually went to the competition?
I don't know if he did. I'm gonna have to ask her if he even went to it. If he did, I don't know if he did. I really don't know, because he was very uninvolved, or at least even when he was there, it's like they always say, when they're home, they're not really home. And it's like wherever he wasn't really there. So when we would go out to dinner, I remember him saying, I can't wait to be that couple that just never has to say anything when you're at dinner and you can just like eat in silence. And I was like, what? But I had one of the moms send me a text, and she's like, he just dropped her off at the mall where we're meeting in the food court for dinner, or at a restaurant in the mall. But we don't know where she is because he just dumped her. because he didn't want to go and mingle with the team members or with the parents. So I was just like, oh my gosh, I could have gone. So anyway, my point to that is it was then used against me. So, like in the paperwork when I was like, I was the one that knew all the teachers for parent teacher conference and their allergies and their doctors and the phone numbers and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh no, he actually attended one of the gymnastics meets of his daughters. And you want to say that he was unavailable and didn't show up? I'm like, I planned that. I did that for their sake, for his sake, so he could have some sort of bonding experience. Like that could have been me, but I decided to let him, and it just bothered me so bad because that happened so many different times. But anyway, I'm not sure how I got there, but I'm sad that I can't be there to support him, Xander, in a big moment that I don't know if it's going to happen again, because next year will be the last year that he can qualify for Worlds as a junior athlete. Because after that, he's a senior athlete. And when you're a senior athlete, you're competing against the Olympians.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and this might have been his only chance. And and that happens. I'm sure dads all over, if any dads listen to this podcast, they're probably like, welcome to being a dad, where we have to miss lots of stuff, lots of football games because of work. And it just...
It's not just that. It's that there's zero parent there.
Yeah.
There's zero parent to step in for you to go, and there's not another one saying, I'll go if you can't.
Yeah.
If you look at it from your point, yeah, it's sad you don't get to go. Yeah, some dads don't get to go, whatever. You could say that all day. But if you look at it from the kid's perspective and being his mom, you feel for him because you love him and you're seeing it through his eyes and being like, I want my parents here. I want them to see me compete,
Yeah. And I'm seeing it on Instagram like everybody else. And I'm seeing it and I'll get the text from him after everything's been announced, and I just was like, man, this sucks. I'm not there for him in a sad moment or in one of his best moments, that happened within...
I will say, let's pause this for a second and say, as a single mom receiving zero help, outside of what the church does and nice people, whatever, but one parent raising 8 children, you have managed to keep him in this sport competing and getting him there.
Yeah.
You might not be able to physically be there, but you have to give yourself a giant pat on the back, because I think it would be a nightmare for me to be in your spot and feel like I got to take him out. I got to take, I can't pay for this, right? It's every mother's nightmare to be like, this is the one thing that is keeping his head on straight, that, has good influences in his life, all of that, but I can't pay for it. And somehow you have scrimped and saved and made it, watched everybody else's dogs and cleaned up unknown amounts of dog crap and, everything else that comes with dogs to make it happen. Yeah. So it's sad for you don't get to see it. But I will say, in my experience with club soccer, that's all I know as far as super competitive elite athletes. I will say that sometimes parents get too involved.
Yeah.
Sometimes it becomes their identity and they get kicked out off the field and they ruin the games because it becomes their sole purpose. It's like they give up their identity because they're at all of the soccer games and their friendships because they only associate with the soccer parents, and you haven't done that either, right? You've kept it in a good space, and you've when my daughter was in club soccer, some of my other kids got left behind, right? They got forgotten because we couldn't do everything. We have to leave them with a babysitter so that we can go do this with her, or all of the traveling, the budget, the time, everything was with her. What happens to our other kids, right? Yeah. So while he feels like you're not there, guess who feels like you are there for them? The other kids.
Yeah.
You're not giving him... I could argue from their perspective that if you traveled with him, that they would feel like, oh, well, we're poor and we don't have all this money because you spend it all on him. And you choose him because he's successful in his sport. And so you choose to be with him and not us, right? So you could argue till you're blue in the face, depending on the position of kid in your family and how they feel. You could argue it's good or it's bad. But at the end of the day, as a single mom, you have a kid who's doing really well in gymnastics, and it's because you have continued to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, because I have had backlash and I have had arguments with family members, who were like, if you can't afford it, and you're like, this is like you're crying wolf, right? Oh, you're getting help from the church, and oh, you're, getting donations from people who want to see him succeed. But like, if you're that poor, then you need to be within your budget.
Let's add that to a list. Can we make
Oh
that a
my
new word, please?
gosh. Oh my gosh. Budget. Don't let me get sidetracked, but that reminds me, this week, Naoma said to me, Mom, I have a sock in my hole.
Oh my gosh, I had one. I've had a couple and I forget to write them down and I forget them. But
they're so
funny. I think of you every time that me or my kids do something like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really would love that.
And in this course that I'm taking right now, it's called Digital Real Estate, Digital Landlords. I was watching when he's like, you guys, my toe got card. And then I tried to repeat it and I was like, I think I said my co got card. They were my very favorite. What was Whitney's? Over the pulpit. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. General Tomfrance cock. That's what it was.
Yes, it was.
Oh man, I don't know where bidget came from. That sounds almost really bad, like a bad word. But
that's what I'm saying. My dad, there's a word that starts with a B and ends in an asterd. And my dad, instead of saying that one, would call them bastages.
Yes, I've heard that. They say, "Oh, damage." My kids say that.
Bastage, I think, actually, I looked it up once, and it actually comes from a movie or something.
Really?
But I thought my dad made it up as a kid. I'm like, you just made that up, and it's actually a quote from something. But he'd be like, "Oh, bastages."
Oh my gosh! Well, I grew up saying "fugly," so that's great. I still say it. That is fugly.
I have heard you say that a time or two.
I know. Now, what was I talking about? About bidgets and budgets. Do you recall? I don't see. I was like, don't let me get sidetracked.
Yeah, you can't give the ADHD girl that job. I need like a pad of paper, like a legal pad.
I don't even know what the word was that I was thinking. I was thinking of obviously two words at the same time, budget and something that had an "I" in there. But it's gone from my memory. Poof, gonzo. We were talking about
all the judgment that you've been getting.
Yes.
You have gotten.
Oh, yes. If it's not in your budget, then you don't do it.
Yeah.
But I remember talking to my bishop about it. That's what I was thinking, bishop and budget. And it said bidget. I found it.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Bishop and budget is bidget. I'm going to start saying that. Oh, bidget. Oh, man. I'm getting slap happy. So anyway, I was telling him about that and how I was like feeling bad because I'm like, family thinks that like, sorry, if you don't have the means, then you pull them out. And he was like, no, don't do that. And I was like, thank you. He's like, that would be like pulling my bike away from me. The one thing that he loves and does every day, and I'm not going to lie, like this is not the main purpose, but I'm like, you know what? Eventually this could pay for a scholarship for college for him, which also saves me money and saves him money.
But it also, like, again, I could argue so many points about this. One of them is the community that he has, the male examples, influences that he's around that he doesn't have at home. You take this away, and what does he do? Where does he go? Who is around him?
And his head coach was abandoned by her dad. So he's able to bond with her a little bit on, how she dealt with it. And she will have a little bit of grace for him if he's having a bad day, because sometimes the petitioner will go to Wasatch Trampoline and Tumbling to pick up Treyu, who still goes with him. And Xander will see him, but is basically ignored, And so every time that he does see him, he's like, it's just like re-entering the trauma.
Yeah. And he doesn't understand the like victim drama triangle. He doesn't understand his role in it and how to fix it, what he did wrong. I mean, it's so complex and hard for a 15-year-old to understand.
Yeah. I mean, it's still difficult. There's still so many hard feelings, and I have family and friends, and pushing forgiveness and pushing reconciliation and pushing reunification, and you you don't get to tell people to do that. You don't get to tell people when. And it's like that thing I posted. You gave me a fire emoji. Let's not push the idea of reconciliation if the person that has caused the trauma isn't even remorseful. And not to say that you can't forgive someone if they haven't said sorry, but like it's hard to work with forgiveness and repentance or loving someone when they're still injuring you.
Well, yeah, if they are not repentant, if they don't acknowledge it and they don't care, then you have to expect the behavior to continue. I've had, somebody close to me that I want to love and have a relationship with, but I just had to remove myself from the situation and the relationship because every time there was an interaction and proximity to each other, there was something that had to be done to hurt me. And I was like, why am I going to continue to put myself in this situation when it's obvious there's no remorse? They don't care, right? And so it's like, well, I can be, forgiving to some degree, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to continue to get myself hurt. That's dumb.
Well, and then they say, oh, well, forgiveness isn't for them, it's for you. It's for you to let go. And I get it. I understand like the metaphor.
Again, it doesn't mean you can, when you forgive somebody in that situation, in my mind, all it means is that you're not always thinking about it. You don't let them control your life. You're not stuck in this drama. It's like out of sight, out of mind. But it doesn't mean that you hear their name and you think rainbows and butterflies and, I love them and I want to go see. It's like, okay, they don't control me. It's okay. Everything's fine. But like, I still don't want to go spend time with them. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be like a big ordeal. It just means I am releasing myself from that situation.
Yeah.
I'm going to let God do that.
And that's tricky for me, in this public eye. Not that I'm in the public eye, but he is and has been for a long time. So he's plastered everywhere.
Yep.
I mean, it's like when you get a new car, suddenly you see that new car everywhere.
Yep.
You're like, oh my gosh, everybody has this car because you finally.
It's even more complicated with that for you guys, though, because it's also attached to your religion. And that's really hard.
Yeah.
And it's also attached to race. Like there's a lot of things that are attached to it. And so there's a lot of reminders and there's a lot of like digs and.
Well, yeah. I mean, every time I go to the temple, like if I do sealings, if I do a baptism, everything comes back to him somehow. And you try not to make it obvious, like you're not thinking about it. But I mean, I was just saying in an Instagram post that, it's very smoky in Utah. There's fires everywhere. We can't breathe. Everyone's suffocating. And part of me wants to just like let my whole house burn down and start fresh. And hey, I got a dog barking and not, have to have the reminders even in my house, It's hard to see certain corners or see certain pictures.
Even like with all your vlogging and stuff, you see reminders when you log into YouTube and, an old video will pop up with him in it or, you know what I mean? Like there's physical reminders and digital reminders. There's reminders everywhere.
And my kids will watch old videos. Hey, sorry, if you guys can hear a dog whining, I have my kids will sometimes log into old videos and it'll make them sad. And I'm like, turn it off. And it's just, can you hear her whining?
Yeah, but it doesn't bother me.
Okay. She's crying for some reason. I think she wants something from me. But anyway, so that's been difficult because I'll see him online and people will send me, oh, he's doing this and oh, he's doing this. And I want to know and I want to see it all, but it's tormenting me at the same time.
It's a double-edged sword.
And this is what I was going to say because I want to be able, come here. I want to be able to move on and the wrong dog is coming. Nope, not you. I want to be able to forget about it and move on and not have it like control me like you were saying. And it's part of the reason that I want to be able to make money because I think if I can make a lot of money and finally provide for my children, then the resentment won't be so strong and so rampant because seeing him live this bachelor, that's a dog tail. If you just saw a dog tail. Seeing him, doing these events and trying to just, oh my gosh, come here.
I think what you're describing is there's this like emotional pain, but then the emotional pain is magnified and amplified by the financial, by
Yes,
the
yes,
physical, right? Like you can't heal your heart because your body and like your life hurts. You know, it's like there's not time to heal one. They all hurt all together. You can't put the fire out. You
right.
know, it's like
Hang on, Carly. Come here. Phoebe, come here. Come here.
that one's yours, right?
That was mine. She's the most annoying of all. Okay. So sorry for
Is she the
the
one that you got to like kind of replace the one that you had to get rid
uh-huh.
of? Okay.
Yes. Uh-huh. No. Yes. Yes, it was her.
She's the younger of them.
Yes, yes, that's right. I'm forgetting who is who. Yes, it's just like as you said, if I was like raking in the dough and we had zero struggle and we were just killing it financially and the kids were happy and I could get them all into therapy and not have to worry about the cost and if I could travel with them and find the nanny and just like live as though he were dead, then I don't think there would be such anger. I don't think that there wouldn't be. There wouldn't
Well,
be
it's
so much.
not just like if he was dead, right? If he wasn't anymore, your expectation changes. And after fighting for 4 years to have, you know, the court order help for you, basically, you expect the help. And when
Yeah.
it doesn't come, you've exhausted all of your resources. Like you have this hope that, okay, you won't be alone. You don't have to be in a relationship, but can you please not be alone? And so you have this hope because he is alive, because he can contribute. So I think it makes it sting and it makes it hurt so much worse because like you can't pretend. A lot of people, like I have a sister that was married for 5 years and they never had kids. They had a dog. They got divorced. He took the dog. She was like, I don't need, like, he wanted to do like a divorce situation with the dog. And she's like, no, you can just take the dog. I don't want to see you ever again, you know? And she hasn't
I
needed to
remember
see
when
him for any reason.
I was awarded the animals. I'm like, oh, big whoop. Like he
Yeah.
hated the dogs.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't want him exactly. But she hasn't had to see him ever again, right? And so she has been able to heal and move on and get remarried and do all this stuff, right? But for you, you don't have that luxury of no more contact, move on, do, you know, do your own thing. And you have 8 children
I
that
know.
tie you together. Plus you need the help financially, right? It's like the healing is a lot slower
Yeah.
when you rip off the Band-Aid every
Yeah.
single day.
I
It's not
can't.
even like you're ripping off the Band-Aid. You're ripping off the Band-Aid and scratching at the scab every
Mm-hmm.
time you do and
Mm-hmm.
bleeding again.
Mm-hmm. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard sometimes when you see glimpses of his face in the kids, you know, or mannerisms. I'm like, oh, because I have to like try to mentally separate the two, you know. And I'm so glad I gave Xander, his name starts with a Z and not an X. I did that
Yeah.
on purpose because I wanted him to be his own person. But that's been a real challenge. Watching, like everyone else, watching his life unfold, you know, and I'm sure he struggles, but he's posting the best parts of everything. And I just don't do that on Instagram. And that's why a lot of people have called me the queen of complaining and she's exploiting, you know, her kids and she, you know, is a victim and maybe I am, but I'm not going to paint this fake picture of my life and have women out there to believe that all is well in Zion because it is not. And when I do get on the other side financially and when I can breathe a little bit more easily, then I'll probably be a little bit lighter, you know, on a podcast or at, you know, 10 o'clock at night when I'm trying to be helpful to other women to be able to relate and to be able to say, I am struggling with this too. I mean, the amount of comments that we get of, oh my gosh, your podcast helped me. And I'm so glad that you can talk.
Yeah.
I am not allowed to speak. I have been
Yep.
there. I had the gag order for 3 years where I wasn't allowed to say a word. And that was brought up in mediation, by the way. I was told, you know, I was waiting
Like
for
this
it.
last mediation?
I was waiting for it.
Okay.
And he, you know, we were talking about how he was super far behind in payments. And I know you're all chomping at the bit because I've had so many people message like, well, what happened to mediation? What happened to mediation? And I'm hesitant because nothing is signed yet.
Yeah, she
Agreement.
actually has it like she can look at it, what they sent, but nothing is signed because they have to like send back
Yeah.
your response,
And
right?
so
So it's
then,
like,
yeah, back and forth stuff still. And then the concern is that they'll come back and say, well, you said in your social media that this, so we take back the, I don't know if they can do that because
well, what did they say in mediation?
it's already been agreed upon for the most part. Well, I was talking about how, well, he's behind in payments and of course, the same thing he's been saying for the last 4 years. Well, I can't get work because she's basically posting on her social media that I'm a deadbeat. And I wanted to say to the mediator, you said it, not me. But he's like, well, it sounds like he's, lost a lot of opportunity in for work because of the way you painted him out to be on social media. And I was like, okay, you're 4 years late, Mr. Mediator. Like, he opened that, we've talked about this 100 times, but he opened that can of worms when he announced it himself on social media. And I found out by my kid's third grade teacher, a screenshot that she sent me. He opened that up himself.
Which, by the way, every time you talk about this, like in my head, I think you're saying you found out that he announced it on social media, like you didn't know he had done it publicly. But what you're actually saying is you didn't know that he decided to be separated until he did it on social media. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of a mix of both. Like
Okay.
until he posted it publicly, because he had said, no, I'm done. But he said that when Adana was 6 months old, right?
Right.
And came back. So I never knew, he's not a person who normally does what he says or doesn't remember the commitment that he made or didn't care about the promises that he made. Because I remember in one of our conversations, I was like, dude, we covenanted before God. Like, what the heck? In the temple? Like, wasn't that the purpose of getting married in the temple? And he said, I remember him saying, I'll stand before God and tell him that I was done. And I'm fine with that. And so I'm like, which ones, it's like, which covenants, work for you? Like your uncle. So I never,
Because you only have to keep the ones that make you happy.
so I never figured that he was going to follow through with this because he had come back once before when Adana was 6 months old. He was gone for 3 days. He wanted out. Then he came back and apologized and was remorseful, and it was sweet and it was kind. And I quickly forgave, frankly forgave, as Nephi would say. But then it wasn't, and he had said, no, I'm done. And I was kind of in my head like, okay, he just needs some time. He needs some space. So no, I didn't really believe
It
him.
had been a stressful, with COVID and all that stuff. It had been a stressful season. So of course you're hoping like,
I
oh,
also
he'll
didn't
come out
know
of
that
that.
he was in like financial, well, he probably wouldn't say this, but he was in financial trouble because he was being hounded by people that he had borrowed money from that I didn't know about, which is what was discovered in discovery when you subpoena statements. There was $50,000 that had been borrowed and was expected to be paid back that he just conveniently ignored. And so there was that, and I didn't know anything about it. So things I suppose.
Did that affect your name and your credit? Did he associate that with you? Okay.
No, I don't think so because the guy was very lenient because he was under the impression he was told that the family was in dire need and that this money would be paid back by donations to the Bend Not Break Foundation, Alex's pretend foundation that was never really a foundation. But
is it a 501c3?
No, it's nothing. But he wanted it to be, so he's like, I have a foundation, but never did the work behind it. Never got the board members. Verbally, he probably did, but never had the meetings that you have to have quarterly, never set it up. So he had what was called a pass-through. So he went through the Forever Young Foundation to collect donations. They would donate to the Forever Young or to like Bend Not Break Foundation, which really didn't legally exist. And they would do what was called a pass-through, which is legal. And Forever Young has had, good relationship with him in the past, and he's done things for them. And so they were doing this pass-through where the donations were sent to Forever Young, and then they would send it on to him. And it made it legal, so it went to a 501c3, even though it wasn't his. And then they would do a pass-through to his pretend one that really didn't exist, but he was telling everyone, this is my nonprofit, which never really existed. So anyway, he had a lot of money owing, and I want to believe that, and maybe I'm making excuses for him. I want to believe that things were mounting, pressure-wise, financially, and coming out of COVID and trying to, I mean, it's like, that's what I've been living the last 4 years, is coming out of nothing, because we had nothing during COVID. And anyway, so when I say that I got a screenshot, it was just a picture from Ari's third grade teacher. And I opened it up, and it was that very social media post where I was like, what the crap? Well, I guess he's doing it. And still, even then, I was like, oh, he'll take it back. Like, he doesn't mean this. Like, he would never do this. And so when the mediator said, that you are painting him in a bad light, apparently, and he's not able to get enough work to be able to provide, I lost my cool and said, no, he opened that can of worms, and no, I've had a 3-year gag order, and let's not forget that this is how I had been making money, was through YouTube and content creation and podcasting and explaining my situation, because I've always been authentic on social media and not fake, and so I was sharing what was happening in my life, and then that was taken from me because I was accused of disparagement and smearing his name and having a smear campaign, and I was blamed for all these things, and so then that lost my ability for my job. So I was like, and I'm sorry, mediator, but he has lost the trust and fanship, if that's a word, of his Mormon mother following, because Mormon mothers are the ones that are following him for the most part. Oh, I love his music for my children on their missions, and he could relate to the youth, and he can, and he was always great at it. But when you leave your wife and family, that does not sit well with Mormon mothers, or any mother for that matter.
Yeah, it just means that he has a package he's selling, but he doesn't live it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're like, I don't want to buy what you're selling if you're not even consuming the product yourself.
Yeah, he did not practice what he preached, which was so difficult, because for the last 4 years, the dude has been doing firesides about staying on the covenant path. And, I would see those and just be like, what? Like, pearls of wisdom by the petitioner, and ways to keep, the faith on the covenant path and eternal families. And I was like, how? In my head, I'm like, how's he even doing this? How is he even doing this? And I remember a time when both of us were asked to do a fireside together, because, we were the power couple, the power poster Mormon couple, biracial marriage succeeding in Mormondom. And I was like, when the bishop and the young women's president asked me to do a fireside with him, I was like, and he had not been kind to me like the last few days leading up to that question. And I was like, you know what? No, that's his thing. I'm just going to let him, take that, because nobody wants to hear from me. And then they kept bugging me. No. We think you'd be great for the young women, and he'd be great for the young men, and having the two of you up there as a power couple. I was like, and kept badgering me. And I finally said, Bishop, he yells at me. And I cannot get up on the pulpit and appear to everyone as like though we have it all together, and like, if you just follow the yellow brick road to the temple and you keep your covenants, everything is going to be perfect. I'm not doing that, and nor do I want to stand by him on the pulpit. I don't want to.
How long was this before you separated?
Maybe 2 years, maybe a year, and maybe 2 years, maybe 3. And I'm not saying he yelled at me all the time, but he had that week, and I was like, no, I don't want to stand by him. Like, either we hadn't made up, or there was no remorse, or I was just feeling so awful about the way I was treated to his credit, I'm sure there were times I didn't treat him the way he wanted to be treated. I'm not trying to sound like I was perfect, but I didn't yell at him. I did not do that. And so I finally said to the bishop, no, you know what? He yells at me, and I'm not about to stand up on the pulpit and speak next to him like everything is fine, and nor do I want to. And he was like, oh, well, okay. And I couldn't help but think, and he ended up doing the fireside. I was like, how does he do the fireside after, like, how does he do that? How does he have this skill to get up and like nothing's wrong, everything's fine, and to preach about Jesus and love and the eternal, the covenant path and eternities and the temple, and he was good at it because he's great at acting. Because I could not get up there and do that. I would feel like a fraud.
Have you followed the Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk thing lately?
No.
So
the forgiveness thing at the end when she talks about that?
Oh, no. That's a whole different thing. But she has, over the last 10 months, just had so many times where she is obviously lying through her teeth. I could give you probably at least 25 examples of times that she just lies. Like, she is a lying liar who lies. It's insane, the stuff that they've caught her in, right? And it has been suggested recently that she has multiple personality disorder, where she can go back and forth, like, you can experience a trauma or something like that, and you create different worlds that you live in, basically, like a different personality for a different situation or something. And it's like the Erica that existed before Charlie doesn't exist anymore. And people who have this disorder can't remember, like, they totally lose memory of a lot of things. And that, like, that's the only way that people can explain Erica's behavior. Is she says crazy things like, I didn't date for the 5 years before I met Charlie in New York. I didn't date anyone. And then you cut to the clip of her, like, living in China with a boyfriend and then, like, dating all these different athletes. And she's like, I never drink. And then you cut to the clip of her on a reality TV show where she's drinking, and just like, and those are two tiny little things. There's so many way bigger things that are huge lies. And it's like she has a different personality and a different way of living. Like, she went from being like kind of a, what do you call them? Like a sorority type, dating the athlete girl, to this like Christian manipulative, if you don't agree with me, you don't know God. Like, it's crazy, the stuff that's coming out of her mouth. But that's what people are saying. And I just kind of wonder, it just sounds so similar to what you're describing, where I know that the petitioner had a hard upbringing, and
yeah, it would make sense.
Like, maybe that's how he is able to, like, he's taught his brain to compartmentalize, to forget things, to adapt to different situations. You just kind of, like, you are whoever the moment needs you to be, and then you forget the rest or something. I don't know, but
yeah, that would make perfect sense, and actually makes me feel like, oh, maybe he just maybe that's it, and it helps me to have some compassion. But yeah, I'd be like, I think I've mentioned this before in the podcast too, where Joseph Smith gets in some argument with Emma, and because he gets in this argument, he goes back up to translate the plates, but cannot do it. And knows that he has to go to apologize to Emma before he's granted that privilege again.
And the spirit with him. He's offended the spirit.
Yeah. Same thing with, like, you see in there's a movie, a Mormon movie. I don't know if it's Return with Honor or the missionary movie, The Best 2 Years or something. I don't even know which one. But this missionary has been has sinned on the mission, or he's done something he wasn't supposed to do. And then there's something where somebody that they're teaching needs a blessing, and he is not able to utter the words in the blessing because he doesn't have the spirit. It's like, it's almost like his tongue is bound or whatever. And that's kind of a dramatic example, but I was always waiting for that moment for the petitioner to get onto a pulpit or on a podcast and suddenly not have the words or not be able to express himself or speak because he's been mean to me. And it never, ever happened. But my point is, I don't know how he was able to do that.
Let me make one more comment real fast, okay? Because do you remember I told you about how I had an experience, not in my current ward, in a different ward, where I served with a bishop in Young Women's, and it turned out like he is currently now a registered sex offender. Did I tell you about this?
A little bit, yeah.
So I don't want to relitigate that case. I do think that there are worse situations, and I think that it's a sad situation. But my experience with him, I was so confused, because when I served with him, I heard him speak and I felt the spirit. He taught truths, right? And he was always nice to me, and I never felt like I was at risk. I didn't feel like my children were at risk or anything like that, right? Well, I asked my dad about it. I remember my dad worked child sex crimes, right? Like he was a detective. He worked with horrible people, like, and my dad was living with me at the time that I was in this ward, and he knew this guy, and he was friends with him, and he never gave my dad reason to suspect anything, right? And I was like, Dad, I don't understand. How could we be friends with this guy, and how could he be nice to us, and how could he, purport to be a bishop and a believing member of the church and know who Jesus is and all of this? How can he do that? And then we find this out. How could he also be that? How is that and even possible? And how do I hear him speak and feel the Spirit? And then I learned this. He says, well, he testified of truth. The Spirit will always be there when somebody's testifying of truth, right? It doesn't mean that he's a good guy. It doesn't mean, it's not the Spirit saying this is the next prophet or you should worship him or anything. All it means is that he's testifying of truth. And so, the Lord uses imperfect people. All he has to work with are imperfect people. Yeah. And he's going to make things work to the advantage of those who love him, right?
I mean, it makes sense. It's like the priests who are doing naughty things the night before, they're blessing the sacrament. It's not going to ruin,
right.
the sacrament that we're taking.
Right,
and
exactly.
It makes sense. I guess it's good that he's talking about eternal truths as opposed to doing other things. It just bugs me.
It's setting up a lot of people for failure, because if you're not careful, and this happens in every religion, every leadership organization, everything, right? Yeah. If you put your faith and trust and hope in a person, they will fail you. And if your testimony is in a man who came and spoke to you instead of the message that he had, and if you feel like that truth is wrapped up in him and not in Jesus, then eventually that testimony will be no more, because it's not in the Savior, it's in the person, right? So that's the problem there. But I also think that everybody, we have the option to remember people for their best moments or for their worst moments. And his worst moments were what you were living through, but everybody else saw his best moments, right?
Yeah.
And if he was not around physically, if he actually was unalived, then he'd probably be remembered for his best moments. But because he is around and he continues to disappoint, he's remembered for his worst moments, right? And so, it's a really hard thing.
Back to that mediator, when he, when I was like, he's offended his fan base, and they don't like that he's not paying his support. They don't like that. And the mediator interrupted me, and he's like, well, how would they know that? You're not supposed to be talking about those things. And I was like, whoa. He's like, you're not supposed to be talking about those things. The court does not like when you bring up that he's behind financially, and the court does not like that, and that you're, that your kids would know anything. And he's like, maybe we should consider bringing back the guardian ad litem. And
no.
What? And he's like, and have you heard of family systems therapy, which is another word for reunification?
Yes.
And I was like, yes, I have. And Steve quickly interrupted. He's like, it's not, what did he say? He got out of it really fast. Like, this is not on Julie to repair the relationship between him and the children. This is up to him. And basically he told me, he was like, this mediator needs to stay in his lane. He needs to be the mediator and not a judge who was trying to get a special master who was like a judge temporarily, or get the guardian ad litem back on board, which is like, I'd rather freaking unalive myself than have a guardian ad litem. Oh, I know how he got out of it. He was like, oh, you know what? Her guardian ad litem is retired. And I was like, oh, thank heavens, because he was horrible. And, but after that, we were like, oh my gosh, what was he suggesting? Like, let's get back into reunification therapy. Let's get the guardian ad litem back on board. Like, no.
But he doesn't have the power to order that, right?
No, he didn't. You can only do that if they're both agreed upon. And I was like, oh, heck no, I'm not doing that. But then again, I was just like angry, because I was like, here I am sitting in a room again. The mediator's a man. My attorney's a man. The petitioner's a man. His attorney is a man. I'm the only woman again. And then the judge is a man.
Dana was not there.
She was like on the phone. She was dealing with her own trial, like her own case. But she would chime in and say, don't accept that, and this is good. And she's always been there and been helpful. But yeah, again, I was just like, I'm the only, because again, we were talking about, and this can be another podcast because it's getting long, but we were talking about ordinations and baptisms, and they were talking about the rights of a father, and they were talking about the privileges of a father, that gets to do these ordinances. And I'm like, what about me? What about?
Well, and let's define privilege. Do you know what that word actually means? Because it is a privilege, and it's one that he doesn't get. Because privileges are the result of choices, and he's made bad ones, so he doesn't get the privileges.
Right. But he is under the assumption that he does, and was fighting for that heavily in mediation. And then the mediator even said to me, well, it's kind of, the rights of a man. And I was like, well, what about the rights of me? What about?
Well, no, what about the rights of your kids?
Well, that too, of course. But that they don't count. Are you serious? They don't count.
It's their special covenants, and
we can talk about that once this is all said and done and signed. But they weren't. No, they had no say in that mediation. And and of course they were brought up. But I was like, well, what about the rights of the mom? This is all about the rights of the father. What about the rights of the mom who has an opinion on who does this? It didn't matter what I thought. It didn't matter what I was just like, I'm so sick of being the only woman. I was the only woman in the courtroom. I had my 2 male attorneys. He had his male attorney. The guardian ad litem is a man. The judge is a man. The court clerks are men.
I think it's dangerous to talk about the gender so much. It's not about the gender. To me, it's about the life experience, the lived experience, right? As a man in the situation, they are the ones that go to work. They have the income.
Their wives are at home.
Right. Their wives are at home. They're the ones that, if they're LDS, they're the ones that have done the ordinances. And so it's not the gender, it's the experience that they have had. And it's the same thing when you were talking about the finances and people who will harass you about your kids being in these expensive sports, right? They have never
had the nurturing part of me.
Well, it's because they've never had a kid. And I speak from experience. I have had a kid who struggles hard with anxiety, with depression, with all sorts of things. If you've ever had a kid struggling to get out of bed, struggling to finish a day at school, struggling to just want to be alive, right? Struggling to, I could tell you a lot of hard things that we've had to deal with. And if you've never had a kid I've had siblings, I've had family members. I know people that just happily get out of bed in the morning. They go to school. They keep their grades up. They're perfect in every way seemingly possible. Yeah, they have problems, but they don't act out.
Right.
They go get a job. They have sports. They have friends. Great. If you have kids like that, great. But a lot of kids these days struggle. Not just kids, a lot of people. In fact, in my city, I have to be careful what I say, but recently there was somebody who unalived themselves in a park. Depression, all sorts of stuff. So anyway, it's real. All that stuff is real, and it plagues our youth. And if people are looking at the almighty dollar and at your budget instead of the mental health of the children, it's telling me that they've never experienced it before. Once you experience it, you don't even think about the money anymore. Do you know how much money I've thrown at this problem, my problem with my kids, right? It's like the ones that struggle, I will do anything. We don't need to go on vacations. We need a healthy kid. We need somebody, we need to figure this out. And that's what good parents do, right? And so when people look at your finances and what your kids are doing and they judge you, all it says to me is they've never experienced this. They can't possibly understand. Therefore, I don't care about their opinion.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with the men in this legal thing. They've only ever been on the side of the table that they're on. And they've only ever experienced, the fatherly side. And they have to be very careful that they allow you to try and express what your side of the table is like,
right,
and to give you a voice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's literally their job.
Yeah. Well, and it's like the men, they'll go to work.
Close to the mic.
They'll go to their jobs and they'll be like, this is for our family. I'm fighting. I've got to go to work and I've got to attend this meeting. But if we are practicing that same motherly intuition, like I've got to get our kids in therapy. I need to have these kids make sure that they are in their sports that they love so that they will be mentally well and emotionally well. that's not given the same weight. It's not given the same value as a man that goes to
They
work for
literally
money.
don't understand it. They don't
No.
understand what happens when you fail at your job.
So
Because
they can worry about the finances because it's their providing job, but I don't get the luxury of worrying about the nurturing side.
Yep.
You know, and that was hard. I was like I was fighting for myself alone. Yes, I had attorneys, but also men. You know, so when we're talking about priesthood and ordinations, like, I'm not saying they weren't fighting for me, but they're probably not focusing as heavily on that as I was because they're also men.
And they don't know how to,
They're
they don't know
more
how you
worried about the
feel. They don't know
money.
how to articulate it. They don't
Yeah.
know, but I like to, so my husband is in marketing. And if I was in something, I'd be in sales or something. I'd be the one talking to people, and
Yeah.
we just have totally different personalities. But he'll talk about how if he wants a raise, it's really hard to get a raise because it's really hard to prove your value in marketing.
Yeah.
You know where it's really easy to prove your value? Sales.
Yeah.
You have numbers. I earned the company this much money. My husband is like, well, I gave the leads to the guys who got the money. You know what I mean? It's like, it's totally
Right.
different. And I feel like that is the same with mothers and fathers. But you're very important, but we're like the marketers, right? Like
Right.
what we do builds and builds and builds, but you only see the side, the bacon that, I mean, and you can work in reverse too. Like they bring in the money, but we're the ones who make it last a lot longer because of what we do. We're not spending way more money. Like,
Yeah.
so we do bring in value, but it's really hard to prove.
And he would always say to me, I can do what I do because of what you do at home. So,
that's true. That's actually,
yeah.
And like people who live the gospel will understand the fact that women don't stay home so men can go to work. Men go to work so women can stay at home. That's the most important thing.
Right.
And like you literally created people. Like, are we forgetting this? You created people.
Human life. I know.
Human life.
And then, you get ripped on for having that many kids. Well, she got pregnant, she got knocked up that many times. What does she expect? A Nigerian man leaves a white woman. No surprise there. She couldn't keep her legs closed. She couldn't,
but here's the thing. I don't care who's saying it. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. Why are you judging? The 8 children still exist. So are you going to say that these 8 Black children aren't worth serving and taking care of because you disagree with how they got here? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that their lives don't matter because you don't think that they should be here?
Yeah.
Come on, follow the logic, people.
I know. So it's like the amount of brain bandwidth like that I have not had to have all these conflicting thoughts and opinions, and then my own. I'm like, I don't even know my own opinion because I value
you start trusting yourself.
Yeah. And then you just sit in a daze. And so that's why podcasting has been great for me, and it's been therapeutic to talk because I can't afford therapy. I can't afford it for 8 kids, and I'm kind of doing crisis management on who needs it the most at the very moment currently, and which one will take insurance. And so, it's exhausting, and I'm so tired all of the time, and I cannot keep doing this. And I promise one of these days I'll be the one saying, I have arrived. Financially, I have succeeded. I'm on the other end of this deep, dark hole, of legal debt and getting myself out from underneath the rubble. I'll get there. It's just...
That was another idea I had for a podcast, is talking about like the reality of what to expect financially in a divorce, especially like the 2% that go to trial. What does that look like? All of the,
that's a whole another time. And because people are like, I had someone I was arguing with say, is it worth it though to go to trial? I mean, all that money. And I'm telling you right now, for all of the women that are listening, I guarantee they're going to be nodding their head, because it's worth millions of dollars if it means protecting your kids. It's worth billions of dollars if it means that you're keeping your kids out of the hands of a perpetrator or someone who's being, kids who are being abused. Like,
you're not saying, for clarification purposes,
yes, I'm not saying that about
your children. You're just saying that in general.
Because women in family court are fighting that. Kids.
I saw pictures this week from you of children that were being
physically abused
while they're at their dad's.
And
That
so,
happens. That's a real thing.
mhm.
And good mothers who love their kids will stop at nothing. Not, in fact, one of the things that was so sucky about that experience with the bishop that is now a registered sex offender, um, one of the things that he said was he was a business owner, and he was worried that if his attorneys told him that he should plead no contest, or no, it wasn't no contest, it was some other word where it was like he's basically saying I didn't do it, but I am copping to it because I don't want to go to trial or something like that. And he got a better deal with the judge. And he's like, I thought it meant something different, but my lawyer told me to do it because I couldn't afford to go to jail, because then everybody that works for me would lose their jobs, right? And so he blamed it on that. And what my dad said, he said, no innocent, self-respecting, self-loving man would ever stop at anything to clear their name of hurting children. No man would
Yeah.
ever do that, would ever take the hit, especially somebody who had been an ecclesiastical leader.
Yeah.
You know, he was like, because I was trying to figure out, like, is his story true? Because he's basically denying it and saying he got the short end of the stick and nothing actually happened. And my dad's like, that's not what innocent people do. They don't. They
Mm-hmm.
don't. You know, no man wants that on his record. No man wants people thinking that he would ever do that to a child.
No man wants to be known for abandoning or for being a deadbeat. No man wants to, that's why they fight. That's why there's all these memes that say, oh, the man that wouldn't let you have a 15-minute shower, or the man that resented you for babysitting his own children now fights you for custody. The man that, wouldn't change a diaper or go to a parent teacher conference is now fighting you for full custody. Like that's what we're dealing with, and because nobody wants to be, I don't hear deadbeat mom. It's always deadbeat dad, because
Well,
it's
it's
a
the
thing.
mom that alienates.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I mean, there are women who do
Yes.
that. They're just
Yes.
far
There are
less,
some great dads that are being accused of the same thing that I'm being accused
because
of.
there are psychotic women.
Uh-huh.
The
Yes.
problem is there's not a good way to tell the difference. And so
Right.
there's no answer to this solution because nobody's figured out yet, like, how do you tell? But I would say that generally speaking, when you create life, you protect life, right?
Yeah.
You carry these children in your own belly.
That's
You
what's
risk
like,
everything you have to bring them into
yes,
the
it's
world.
life and death. Like women
Yes.
die in childbirth. I think that's what's been so frustrating is in every animal kingdom, every part of the animal kingdom, there is a mama bear. I mean, you've seen the memes where the female octopus will literally spit ink at the male octopus to avoid him. The frog who will play dead, the female frog, I'm sure I'm getting the animals wrong, who will play dead in order to avoid mating with the male. I mean, there's so many things. So they're all allowed, and the bears and lionesses that protect their babies by literally slaughtering a predator, they're all allowed to be mama bears.
Well, we are
But
asked to
not
be,
us, not humans,
no, well,
not in family court.
there's a quote. I need to find it. I think it was an apostle. I have to ask my friend, but she quotes somebody saying that we're asked to be the lioness at the gate. We are asked to protect our families. That is something that we are not only capable of, but asked to do. It's our right. I think
Yeah.
it's just the garbage society that we live in is upside down and backwards.
Yeah, we're not allowed, and then kids get, anyway, we're not allowed to be the mama bears that exist in, the animal kingdom. We don't have that same privilege, and that's what's been so hard in family court, but it's getting long. So some of the things we want to
Yep.
talk about upcoming are what actually happened in mediation, the cost of what goes into a divorce proceeding and trial and mediations. I've had 4 mediations. Like, you don't know what you're getting into until you're in it. And then people say, oh my gosh, like, you're still in it. Like, it's just so expensive. Like, you can't get out, because if they file a motion, you have to respond, and that costs money. And if you don't respond, you lose the motion. And
If
so,
they order your therapy or your ad litem
your
or whatever,
court
you just have to
ordered
pay
stuff,
for it.
you have to pay
Yeah.
for it. And so it's crippling people financially. And they think that you're just like out, because I'll get this question a lot. Well, what are you guys even fighting about? And I'm like, shut up. It's so much more than what are you fighting about. It is responding to the motions and counter motioning. And it's like this game of checkers where you have to play a certain piece, and say a certain word. It's like the shalls and the mays. If you say shall, it's different than saying may, and all these things are at play, and it's a game.
It's a game, and it's negotiation, and it's, I'm gonna say something absurd so that we'll land on something that I can actually, be
Yep.
happy with. And
Yep.
it's just, it's mind-numbingly stupid
Yep.
is
And
what it is.
it's hurting families. It's hurting women and mothers. It's hurting men who love their kids, and it's all a game, and it's messing with it's playing with our lives, especially when you have people making decisions for us. So I want to talk about that and more about how trial came to be and what happened in opening arguments where I was accused in the very beginning, 30 seconds, she alienates and she withholds. She talked about the smear campaign, which was amazing to get thrown out in trial and then re-brought up again, even when things are thrown out and proven wrong and debunked. Like, again,
I think we need to go over, we talk about bits and pieces in each episode, but I feel like you need to go over from beginning to end, how it works, like you file papers and then what happens, and you go to a mediator and that doesn't work out. So then you do what goes next. You know what I mean? It's like,
I've talked about how you have to actually certify for trial. Like, you get in a queue, a lineup, and then you do your mediation, and then you have a hearing, and then you get to, once you pass that, then you get to the next lineup. And that's you get to go to a pre-trial conference. And then once you've reached the end of that, this is like every 4 months, there's something new. And this is why it lasts so long. You go to the pre-trial. And then once you've been cleared, yep, you're good enough to go to trial. Then you get a stamp of certified for trial. Then you're in line for trial, anywhere between 2 months to 2 years. I waited 4 months for my trial, but only because my trial date opened up because someone else, the people in front of me, settled before. They were, February was when I got our trial date for May. And my lawyers were like, wow, that's so soon. I was like, what? That's 4 months away. And they were like, no, we were expecting October. So,
wow.
And in the meantime, mothers starve because they're not getting what they need, So there's so many things to talk about. Thank you guys all for listening. We welcome your questions, like and subscribe. And
we need to, on the next one, maybe read some of the comments, because there's been some good ones on YouTube lately.
Yeah. Thank you for putting them in there. We read them all. And one of these days we will do this when it's at 9 a.m. bright and crisp and we're fresh and I don't look like I'm
maybe in the fall when kids are in school.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
We can't even get out of our houses to get to Santara right now.
Yeah. It's a struggle in the summer. Oh my gosh. So let us know what you think. Questions, comments. The difficult part is when we get comments or questions on Buzzsprout on the actual podcast. It's like
on your when you submit it through the podcast,
like,
not
we can't reply. We can reply live like now, but like not by text. So then we forget that they're there. And anyway, we're just moms here trying to figure out how to.
I didn't tell you. I know we got to end this, but somebody came up to me in the gym who listens to the podcast. We chatted for quite a while.
I love it when they recognize Carly in the wild.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh. But I actually saw the petitioner at the gym the other day and I was like, whoa.
So bad if he recognized you.
I know, but I'm like, I don't want him to.
Yeah.
I like the fact that he doesn't even, I've never met him. I've seen him, but.
Let's prepare you. What's going to happen if he comes up to you and says, you're as bad as she is, disparaging me on a podcast? What are you going to say?
I'd probably just stare at him and be like, because I have a trainer because I'm 40 now. And so for like 3 months, I have this trainer who's teaching me, how to push myself. And I told him, I was like, I'm worried that he's going to come up to me and like yell at me. And he was like, well, don't yell back because they'll kick you both out. There's like a zero tolerance at Vasa.
Yeah, you're his job security. What the heck? He doesn't want you to.
And he's like this 23-year-old boy. He's super cute. But I was like, don't worry, I'm not going to get kicked out of the gym. Don't worry.
Hilarious.
I was like, he's like 6 feet tall or whatever. And I'm like, I'm just going to hide behind you. That's what
Yeah,
I
no
told him I would
kidding.
do.
I get lots of, I don't even need to hire a PI because I got people sending me pictures all the time. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
ask for it. They just send it and it's sweet. People have
Yeah, I
so
don't
many
even need
people.
to do it when I
Yeah,
see him
so
because I
many
know
people
somebody
have
else
my
is.
back. We love you all. Thanks again for listening. We will see you next time. We are out and exhausted. It's time for a treat.
What kind of treat?